Friday morning. I'm Matt Carothers, and welcome to, yes, it's that time, another installment of your and everybody's favorite 30-minute horse racing program. It is time for Blinkers Off. And we have, you always love these 30 minutes. You're really going to love the show this week because we're going to cover a lot of things. We're going to talk about tournaments, horse racing tournaments, and how popular they have become. We're going to talk about maybe some trends that have taken place at Hollywood Park as we get to the latter part of their meetings, just a couple of weeks left, closing day on December 18th. We got stakes activity from around the country, and I got a very special co-host who's sitting about 3 inches to my left right now. He is the man in charge, the publisher of Horseplayer Magazine, dear old friend, Tom Quigley.
Matt.
Here in the studio. Quiggs, how are you?
Good morning. Good to see you. You know, it's the holiday time, right?
Come on, sit up straight. Come on, you're a handsome man. Sit up straight. You're a big, strapping lad. Come on, come on.
It's the holiday time, right?
Yeah, it is.
And, you know, I'm the type of guy when I come over to your house, I want to bring a housewarming gift.
You always do that.
You know?
You
so
do.
I brought you something today,
No,
Matt. You know,
you
swear.
did.
So listen, you know, the topic here in Southern California has been the wind, right? Everyone's seen the damages, right?
Right. That's
and, you know,
pretty bad some places.
You take very good care of your hair. You know, you're well groomed, you know, and so I thought the perfect housewarming gift.
on a daily basis.
Most of the time.
I do.
Yeah.
No cologne today, though. I apologize for that.
No problem. So what I decided to do is bring you a little holiday gift, okay?
Really?
But I didn't know what type of guy you were, so I brought
And I'm kind of a windbag, too.
two things for you, Matt. First of all, I brought some hairspray.
Wow, this looks...
Look at that thing.
This looks... That's some serious
I got that
spray.
for you, just in case the winds kick in again, okay? You know, over the weekend, the weather forecasters
It's not one of those horns.
It can be. Or maybe some gel. I'm not sure if you're a hairspray or a gel guy. So we've got a little something for you, Matt.
Wow,
from Horseplayer Magazine to you.
Is this the same product? Wow, this is, well, glued blasting freeze spray. How aggressive does that sound? Talk about, you know, putting on a helmet, I guess, in the ultra glued invincible styling gel. This is very nice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Least I could do.
Very sweet of you. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
All right, let's
sit up straight.
Let's jump into the program. First of all, let's talk a little bit about Horseplayer Magazine. For those people that aren't familiar with it, talk about the publication. How often does it come out? This is this month's?
No, actually, it was our Breeders' Cup preview. Take a look at the cover shot there, Matt. We've got 10 horses on the cover, from Gold to Cova to Havre de Grace to Flat Out.
6, 7, 8. Yep, 10.
All 10, most of them betting favorites, just like Sports Illustrated. Guess how many of them won?
Oh, the Jinx. It was the Horseplayer
Magazine Jinx. 0 for 10 on the cover of our preview issue. But we did a great job on the interior pages of the magazine. Our writers, who are very well known around the country.
Gibson Carothers is really good.
Gibson is good.
He's very good in Horseplayer.
His son, maybe not so good. You know, I remember the Kentucky Derby issue where Matt, Carothers previewed the Kentucky Derby this year.
Yeah.
And you want to know who Matt picked in this year's or in last year's Kentucky Derby?
You're gonna give me gifts and then rip me.
Sway Away, the infamous Sway Away.
Yeah,
was Matt.
And that's so unlike me too. It's not unlike me to pick a horse that runs poorly, but it's unlike me to pick kind of the wise guy, steam type horse too. That was an out of character selection.
And we had another rider, a pedigree expert by the name of Calvin Carter. Most people haven't heard of him.
No, never heard of Calvin.
You know who his #1 pick was? Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
So you're out.
Okay.
We'll get Calvin next year to come on. Matt, take your hairspray.
There's nothing between me and my Calvins. So if somebody at home's like, wow, that's interesting. They have some of the great riders in the country. They write about interesting topics in racing. How do I get a hold of that magazine? There's
2 ways to get a hold of us. You can call our 1-800 number, which is 1-800-334-6560, or you can visit our website, www.horseplayerdaily.com. We come out 6 times a year, Matt. Okay. $46.95 for a 12-issue subscription. And it's really just a collaboration of writers from around the country, kind of sharing handicapping thoughts and ideas, kind of like the basis for this show. Just kind of, it's obviously not a verbal type of interaction, but from an editorial standpoint, I think it complements what you try and learn in the daily racing forms, throughout the course of the year.
And you're tweeting a lot now too, right? You're doing that deal?
Yeah, you know what? You're not tweeting though. Your last tweet was in July, Matt.
I know.
And you don't follow.
I got to get on that.
And Carothers doesn't follow anybody at all. No. Carothers has 0 followers. Or excuse me, you follow 0 people. You have 900 followers, but last time.
Tom, if you were me, would you follow anybody? Probably not.
You like the Minnesota Twins.
Let's get, before we get into some handicapping, you're a big tournament player. I mean, consistently you play in tournaments. Is is this the sort of wave? It's gotten more and more popular. I mean, you've been playing him probably for years, and back in the day, they weren't so popular. The prize money wasn't that great. Now you have more tournaments. You have more ways of qualifying, obviously, with the internet now, and the prize money is unbelievable. I mean, I know it was a $10,000 buy-in, but the big tournament they had, Breeders' Cup at Churchill Downs, I mean, your winner, Patrick McGooey, made $270,000.
Yeah, there's two really big benefits to playing in tournaments, Matt. The first one is, there's no takeout when you play in a tournament. In other words, there's either no takeout or actually positive expectations when you play in a tournament. So where, from a horse racing gambling standpoint, can you wager where there's absolutely no takeout? So that's one benefit. The second benefit is you're playing for large money against a small group of people. So, like you mentioned, the $10,000 buy-in where the gentleman walked away with a grand prize of over $200,000.
$270,000.
$270,000. Yeah. He only had to compete against approximately 110 people. It wasn't like you were competing against the country trying to hit a pick 6 or a pick 5.
Well, fifth place was $41,000 too.
Exactly. So for those two reasons, you're competing against a small group of handicappers, and there's positive expectations with low takeout. Those are the two main reasons why I like playing in tournaments.
Do you like the using your own money in these tournaments? Do you like that?
For sure, Matt. And the reason why is that when you're playing in mythical type of tournaments, what's happening is that you're basically just swinging at darts or throwing darts and stabbing at long shots. When you have to play with your real money, then it's going to mirror or mimic what you do in real life as well. So it's a lot harder to play a 30-to-1 shot if you're betting $100 or $200 a race than if you're just betting mythical money. So for those reasons, personally, I prefer real money tournaments over mythical tournaments.
I played in a couple tournaments. I've seen you there, but the tournaments that I played in, it's $500 to get in, and then you're there, or $1,000 to get in. But there are a lot of tournaments you can qualify for. You don't have to put that money up front. If you qualify, you're in the tournament for free. How do people go about doing that, qualifying for some of these tournaments?
Yeah, there's all different types of levels that you can play at. In other words, if you'd rather play from home and just put up $100 to play, you can do that online. If you'd rather play in one of these large real money tournaments, they range anywhere from $500 to $2,000. So you can play in those tournaments, and the beauty behind all of those tournaments is most of them are qualifiers for the DRF NTRA National Handicapping Championship next month in Las Vegas. So you can't buy your way into that tournament. And the beauty of that tournament in January, Matt, is that 500 people are going to be at Treasure Island Casino in Las Vegas last weekend in January, and they'll be competing for a grand prize of $1 million. You cannot buy your way in to that championship tournament. So for that reason, that's why the qualifiers throughout the year feed into that championship next month.
All right. I mean, one of the problems that racing has is the educational process, and the fact that many of the people obviously in racing, I mean, I'm getting a little old, Tom's getting a little older, and I've been in some of these tournaments, and I might as well be 18. I mean, it's still at 42, I'm one of the younger guys in these tournaments. Are you finding now that people can qualify online, and most people that like to do things online, it's kind of a younger generation, that maybe that's a way to get some younger people into racing and younger people into these tournaments?
Without a doubt. There's no doubt that it's attracting the day trader type of crowd. They can sit at home now. There's no longer travel expenses involved. There's no longer having to fight bad weather, bad crowds in the airport, all that type of stuff. So there's a number of different sites that are out there now that are qualifying sites for the NHC, and we are seeing a younger crowd because of that. You're absolutely right.
Real quickly before we move on to Hollywood Park, what's the key to winning one of these tournaments? Is it patience? Is it not panicking early if things are going poorly? What's the key to success in most of these tournaments?
Yeah, basically you've got to play price, which I know you're very accustomed to. You don't like favorites, neither do I. You've got to try and beat the chalk in every race. So when you're playing in these tournaments, even if it's live money or mythical money, just like at the racetrack, the way you're going to win these tournaments is by extracting value in your plays. And really it makes you become a better handicapper because you're looking at the races a little bit differently, trying to make cases for the big price horses. And as a result of that, your everyday play improves as well once you step outside of the tournament arena.
You're pretty much a Southern California player, that's fair, right? For the most part.
100% focused on Southern California. I'm at the racetrack every day. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. All 3 Southern California tracks I'm present at, and I'm focused exclusively on Southern California racing.
All right, we're going to jump into Hollywood right now. Anything that you've noticed in terms of people that are maybe playing Hollywood today, Friday, or tomorrow, Saturday with the, a couple of nice races. Well, the Native Diver tomorrow, and anything you've noticed in trends, the rail good, or I thought closers last weekend were doing really well on the grass. I know Ultimate Eagle went wire to wire in the Hollywood Derby, but most of the horses were winning on the turf off the pace. Any sort of trends that you've noticed, or that can help our viewers this weekend? Yeah,
remember Ultimate Eagle got away with that soft pace early,
right.
So that actually helped his chances of going wire to wire. They went 1-2 all the way around the track. Definition of a merry-go-round. Merry-go-round.
Yes.
But I think on the main track, Matt, I think that speed is definitely preferable over deep closers. We're going to take a look at the weekend races a little bit later in the segment. But, to me, early speed is always king in any race, and at Hollywood Park in particular. I think that early speed is much more prevalent and much more preferable over deep closers that you might see at some of the other racetracks around the country.
Okay, we'll take a look here at the Native Diver. Is there any barn right now that you've noticed is either going really well, or maybe a good barn that's a little chilly right now, or maybe a low-profile connection that's doing well? Anything you've noticed from that standpoint before we dive into the Native Diver field of 7 going 1 mile and 1/8 at Hollywood Park on Saturday?
Bob Baffert is certainly on fire. I think his barn's hitting it over a 30% clip. And, you got to be careful at Hollywood Park because it's the end of the year. A lot of people are gearing up for the start of next year. It's, some barns have Breeders' Cup Blues. And so you got to kind of take everything with a grain of salt. I'm not much of a trend guy.
Okay.
I'm kind of a here and now type of guy. I'm in the paddock. I take a look at each and every horse as they walk by. And so I'm more interested in what they look like today than what they might have looked like last
You're the
time.
modern-day Joe Takish. That's sort of what you've turned into a little bit. This is a race in which Tres Barachos could very well win this race. He's by far at his best at Hollywood Park, but he has 1 win over the last couple of years. He's 4 for 34 in his career, even though I realize he's 3 for 12 at Hollywood Park. And these horses that, even though Caleb's Posse was one of maybe your most spectacular winner either Breeders' Cup day in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and Tres Barachos ran 3rd behind a horse who kind of freaked that day in Caleb's Posse. These horses come out of the Breeders' Cup race. They can definitely win. Right? I know he's had some time to recover, but they get overbet, and this is a horse who doesn't win often that's going to be a short price. He's a play against, isn't he?
I played Tres Barachos, Matt, on Breeders' Cup Day because I liked the pace scenario that he was going to face. Once he transferred out of the Bo Greeley barn into the Marty Jones barn.
He's had a good meeting, hasn't he, in Hollywood?
Marty Jones has been absolutely on fire. But what they've done is they've actually changed Tres Barachos' running style. If you remember a couple of years ago, he used to be basically just a one-dimensional speedball. And now what they've done is they've taken him off the pace, make one late run, and it's really made him a better horse. But on Breeders' Cup Day, he had a ton of pace to run at. He was actually right behind Caleb's Posse. Ran a very decent third. But I don't
30 to 1.
Exactly. But I don't think our type of price. But I don't think he's going to get that type of pace today to run at, or excuse me, tomorrow to run at. And that's why I like Tweepster, the Bob Baffert horse. That's going to be my top selection in the race. I don't think there's a lot of pace to go with Tweepster. Last time out, Tweepster ran 7.5 furlongs, ran second to another Bob Baffert.
Sort of a boat race, wasn't it?
Exactly.
It was racing aptitude. It was the biggest price on the board by a mile at 16 to 1. Setting the fractions, Tweepster chased. As you mentioned, the Bafferts ran 1-2 in this race. The always popular Yo 11 Stakes run on the 11th of November. This is Tweepster's first start in 8 months. Like Tres Barachos, good record at Hollywood Park, never worse than second in 4 tries, 2 wins, 2 second-place finishes. And they do take the blinkers off this horse as well, and it looks like a couple of nice Baffert drills since.
And Baffert's strong with the blinkers off move. I think it's around 40% if you look in the daily racing form, but that's, a winning move for the Baffert barn. And again, I don't think there's a lot of pace to go with.
I don't think so either.
And so I think you're getting a little bit of value because, like you said, Matt, I think they're going to overbet Tres Barachos, and I think Tweepster will be up there sitting maybe as a second or third choice on the board.
It's an interesting race. You have El Defeared out here on the West Coast, back on synthetic, coming out of the marathon. You have Kettlecorn, the one. We'll find out how good this horse is. I thought he was the beneficiary of a really quick pace in his last start. They went up 46-3 for the mile and 1/8. I don't like the way he finished. He kind of lugged in the latter part of that race as well, even though he won by a half length. I'm going to go with a horse. Well, sort of desperation time for me as well in this program from an ROI standpoint. But I'm going to go with a horse that I've always liked, that it has run well for me at prices, but has never won at prices before. I'm going to go with Summer Movie in this race, the 5-horse for Art Sherman. I thought he looked good winning a race over dirt at Santa Anita in his last start. This is a horse that can be forwardly placed, and I agree with the lack of pace that we have in this race. And he's run some good races at Hollywood Park, beaten a half length at 14 to 1 in the Grade 2 swaps. 4th behind Golden It Is and Skip Shot, who ended up winning the swaps. That was in the affirmed. He's run well over this racetrack. He's back in good form, and he has tactical speed, and he's going to be a price, and he won his last start. So I'm going to go with Summer Movie at a price to win the Grade 3 Native Diver. Bayakoa. This is a Sunday race at Hollywood Park. Field of 7 going a mile and a 16th. And I guess we'll begin with Bob Baffert. We began with him in the Native Diver. Ella Fitz, I don't know what happened to her at Del Mar in the Adoration because the pace was slow. That's why I like Downhill Diva in that race, who couldn't beat the classy St. Trinians on the drop. Is she going to reawaken back at Hollywood Park where she's had success and freshened up a little bit, and she's run well fresh?
I don't like Ella Fitz, Matt, and the reason why is there's just too many breaks in her running lines. You know, you take a look through her past performances, and she strings a couple of races together, and then she has to take a layoff of a couple of months. And she's coming back into this race off of a layoff. Of course, I respect the Bob Baffert barn, but Ella Fitz isn't for me. My top selection is going to be number 6, Bauble Queen. Trained by Eric Kruljack, ridden by Raphael.
Together here. We're together, my friend.
Too much weight, man. Too much weight.
No, perfect.
You know, if you take a look back through Bauble Queen's past performances, you can see Raphael Bejarano fits her like a glove. All 3 times that he's rode her, she's run well. I know she hasn't run against older yet. This is her first time against older, but she's always very competitive. She's lost to some real top-class fillies. At this time of year, Matt, I like the fresh fillies. I don't like the fillies that have had a long campaign. I like the fresh fillies who are going to come into the race, you know, nice and fresh, looking to conquer new mountains to overcome. And I think Bauble Queen gets the trip today, or gets the trip Sunday at Hollywood Park at a bit of a price.
Yeah, I just like the runners that you think have an upside. You know, so many of these stakes races we have, not just in Southern California, all over the country, you have the same horses competing in the same races month after month. We know who they are. Most of them are, you know, a little on the overrated side, in my opinion. Look for the lightly raced horse that's getting a class test that's going the right direction. I think that horse is Bauble Queen in this race. I mean, you have some runners that aren't in good form. Love the Way You Are. Washington Bridge, I used to like her, but she's turned to a plotter. She's lost 8 races in a row. Ella Fitz might get caught up in a speed duel as well with Champagne d'Oro. Miss Midicon, I thought beat kind of nothing in a race that was taken off the turf on the 12th of November. So kind of a process of elimination for me as well to go with Bauble Queen.
Washington Bridge, defending champ, but you're right. Off form. City to City is one of those fillies you mentioned, just has been running all year long, doesn't really punch it in necessarily.
She could win.
Of course, but at a short price. I think we're on the right filly. Bauble Queen, we'll find out if we're right on Sunday.
Okay, all right. Time to take a look, unfortunately, I think, at our recaps. It was me and Miramati. Bridal Humor didn't really show up. This was the brutal one for me. This was brutal. Starship Flare lost by a centimeter at 29-1. War Element second. We gave out the great exacta there with Geronimo and War Element. Canonized. Yeah, and Ron told me that he might need a race. Yeah. We'll look for him at San Anita, by the way.
Okay. Put it in Formulator.
Just between the two of us here.
Put it in Formulator.
And Haynesfield, it was bad after that. I think I might be down a C note or more.
You're consistent. You're 4th every race.
Yeah, I am 4th every race.
That's good.
How about 3rd?
Sure.
At 9-2. I played that. It was. Oh, wow. Yeah. All right, Tom, you're gonna give me some. I might be down 100. This might be a record for me. 114. I've never been down 114 in the history of the show. We've been doing it about 7 years, I think. Oh, I needed that 29-1 last week. It'd be $50, right? $60. It's all right. We still have time. It's kind of panic mode for me right now, though. So we're going to step aside our one and only commercial timeout. When we come back, Tom Quigley, he is fired up about the Ontario Lassie and especially the Pat Whitsworth, Illinois debutante from Hawthorne.
Enter the TVG Beta Sweepstakes. Sign into beta.tvg.com and every wager you make receives an entry to win one of 20 $225 prizes. One entry per wager. Log in and bet for your chance to win today. beta.tvg.com. Saturday, for the first time ever, join TVG On Track Live for the Caribbean Nations Racing Challenge from Santa Rosa Park on the island of Trinidad. The Caribbean's best are put to the test. TVG Saturday, 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific.
Are you overwhelmed with too much credit card debt? When looking for debt relief options, it can be confusing, especially with all the claims debt relief companies are making out there. So if you find yourself struggling with $10,000 or more in credit card debt and you just want the facts about legitimate debt relief programs, then call American Credit Card Solutions for a free debt relief kit that will tell you about your options in simple, easy-to-understand terminology. Call now to learn about a plan that provides affordable program payments while settling your accounts for less than what you owe, saving you thousands of dollars. This is just one of the powerful programs you will learn about in our free kit. Call us now to get our free debt relief kit mailed to you today, so you can examine all of the debt relief options in the comfort of your home, with no one pressuring you to make a quick decision. The kit is free, the shipping is free, and there's absolutely no obligation. But kits are limited, so call right now.
Important medical alert for Actos users. CBS News has reported that Actos has been pulled from the market in Germany and France due to a link to bladder cancer. If you or a loved one use the diabetic prescription drug Actos and are suffering from bladder cancer, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation.
Call 1-800-206-0985.
Actos users suffering from bladder cancer, time is limited to file a claim. Act now.
Call 1-800-206-0985.
Welcome back to Blinkers Off, published for Horseplayer Magazine. Professional horse player Tom Quigley and myself here in the studios in Los Angeles. We went to the picks recast, myself and Frank Miramati. We were both pretty diseased last week. I want to give clocker Don Harris a little bit of love right now because he was on the program last week and he went on and on and on and on and on about Pacific Ocean, how good that horse looked. All he did was win and I think pay $17.40 or $17.60 in a very impressive gate-to-wire score for Mike Mitchell and the Vernon Underwood at Hollywood Park last Saturday. So Don Harris, well done. We still have some other races to discuss in the final 7 minutes of this program. The inaugural $50,000 event at Turfway Park. And this is an outstanding betting race. It really is. You can make Miss Dora almost as my top selection. She's 20-1 morning line. She crushed at Turfway, 2 starts back, only start at Turfway against cheaper optional claimers. And then she ran in the Dream Supreme at Churchill. That's where Salty Strike, who'd been a disappointment race after race after race for McPeak, put it all together, went 110 over a track listed as good. About an hour and a half later, Amazombie went 109 over a track listed as fast. So the 2 is coming out of a really quick race. I ended up with Fortune Play in this race, but I know you didn't handicap this race, but this is a great betting race, and a race in which we have a 4-1 morning line favorite in 5-star fun. Fortune Play, there's some pace in this race. This mare has some class. She's made $294,000 in her career. Her last start on synthetic, she ran a really good second after missing the break at Keeneland in an optional $100,000 event on the 23rd of October. She also didn't break particularly well in her last start, but she has run some good races lately. Her only start on synthetic was good. And I think this is a good distance for her as well, a 6 furlong distance with a trip that she received with some back class as well. So I'll make her my top selection. I mean, you didn't look at this race, but you can just see it's a good betting race, and Turfway has these big fields.
And that's the beauty of big fields, Matt, is, kudos to Hollywood Park. They've had full fields most of the meets. So is Turfway Park. Synthetic surface back there has helped them tremendously. I saw that number 4, Lady Primal, Matt, was 50-1. Don't know on the morning line. Don't know if you can make a case for her, but she'd definitely get you back into the positive ROI. And as we're talking about Turfway, and we were talking about tournaments earlier, they do have one of those DRF NTRA National Handicapping Championship qualifiers this Sunday at Turfway.
Oh, okay.
So if you're in the Kentucky-Cincinnati area,
sure,
go play in that tournament. I think it costs $200 to play, and you might get a free trip to Vegas.
Oh, yeah, you know everything. You're unbelievable.
I know nothing.
You're unbelievable. Woodbine. Miles, Ontario Lassie, $150,000 event, 2-year-old fillies that have been beaten up on one another for the most part. Blue Horse, you can see, is your favorite, installed at 5-2, like the inaugural at Turfway. Really good betting race, and I'm going to go with Casa Loma. I'm going 8-1 at Turfway. I'm going 8-1 at Woodbine. This is a filly that this race kind of collapsed a little bit in Rose and Shine. The 1, 2, 3, 4th place finishers from this race are all coming back here in the Ontario Lassie. So I'm going to go with Casa Loma, who finished worse in this race, finishing 4th. But she was part of the pace. She did a lot of the dirty work. It was her first time routing, so it's a lightly raced filly, routing for the second time, not a lot of pace, takes the blinkers off. Hopefully she can relax a little bit. I'll go Casa Loma to score for a pretty underrated trainer, in my opinion, too, and Robert Tiller at Woodbine.
And Chantel Sutherland's up there to ride this weekend as well. She's got a mount in this particular race. She's going to be up there Saturday and Sunday. She has no Munstead at Hollywood Park. Probably on a plane right up to Toronto. She's going to close out. It's going to be closing weekend at Woodbine.
Right.
She's going to ride there and then come back to Southern California next week.
You're her agent, are you? No,
I'd like to be.
Okay, yeah, I would as well. The Pat Whitworth Illinois debutante. This is going to be a doozy.
That's a classic.
Yeah, this is, it's a 1.16 mile, 2-year-old filly, but we can make some money. Even though it is a stakes race involving maidens who have never hit the board that are 8-1. That's the one. Lady Deborah Jane. Sweet de Baron. I'm just all about 8-1 shots, apparently. I just realized that right now. Who's 8-1 in this race? That'll make it easy for me.
Speed handicap.
Yeah. And this is a filly that, closed pretty well, I think, in this race to finish second. You can't really fault anybody for coming out of slow races because everybody in this field is exiting a slow race. So you can't really penalize the 5 for that. She stretches out to 1 mile and a 16th. Could be an issue by Aldebaran, but I think her last race was solid. I think the blinkers have helped her 3 starts back. She won first-time blinkers at 19-1. I will stick with her at, again, 8-1. We have plenty of time right now, actually.
That's part of the conditions, right? Must be exiting a slow race.
Must be exiting a slow race. Yeah. And if you're a maiden who has never hit the board, you're going to be a short price. Hollywood, first of all, we have plenty of time right now. You like an overview of Saturday's card. First of all, at Hollywood Park, you told me behind the scenes in our pre-production meeting that you're a fan of it.
I am, as a matter of fact. I love the Saturday card. Friday's card isn't as strong, but keep in mind that they have a 2-day super high 5 carryover.
I know it's 100,000, right?
99,000 to be precise. But yeah, so the last race today at Hollywood Park, roll up your sleeves. The pool's going to be big for the super high 5. And the Saturday card looks like a tremendous card. They've got the early 50-cent pick 5, pick 6, plenty of wagering opportunities all weekend long out at Hollywood Park.
Since when has being accurate and precise ever mattered to me? I mean, to be precise, it's $99,432. Come on, for me, it's $100,000. That's as close as I can get. It's as good as I can get.
Close enough for government work.
Okay. Wow, that's for sure. Play of the day. Saturday. Where are you going? Which race at Hollywood?
6th race at Hollywood.
I'm writing this baby down.
6th race at Hollywood Park. Mile and a 16th on the turf. This is one of those paddock plays that basically I hope goes underneath the radar. Number 7, Circle the Moon, trained by Bruce Headley, ridden by Joe Talamo. Last time out, sprinted 6 furlongs. Now goes to 2 turns. I thought last time this was a horse that was basically being set up for the money run next time out. Not necessarily in the way the race was run, but in the way the horse looked physically in the paddock. I think that now that she stretches out to 2 turns for the first time, I think that it's going to be the winning performance for number 7, Circle the Moon, in the 6th race tomorrow at Hollywood Park.
Oh, what a surprise. I'm going to do the dumb thing in terms of going for a huge prize. I do like this horse. It's my play of the day. But if you're a team that's down 8-3 in the 8th and you have 2 men on base, just get the base hit. But I'm the guy who's trying to hit the 3-run homer and will strike out. That's the guy I am.
You're down 3 points in a basketball game.
Right. There's still time if you get base hits to get back in the game, but I'm still swinging for I'm going to panic. Race 9 Aqueduct, I like the 6, Tusi Pazzo. Thought that last start was taken off the turf. Who cares? They're going to be on the grass tomorrow in New York. The weather is nice. It's going to be nice. And this horse ran a sneaky good 7th, beaten 5.5 lengths, 2 starts back, got no pace to run at. I like the horse who won that race, Ravello Storm. He's going to be tough in a race in New York on Friday. 8th place finisher, Pernice, won his next turf start. 2nd place finisher, strong win next out. I like the race 2 back that Tusi Pazzo comes out of. A lot of cheap speed to sit behind. I'll go with the 6 at 20-1 morning line in the 9th at Aqueduct. I told you the show flies by.
Flies by, Matt.
There it is. 15 seconds left in the program. Horseplayer Magazine, 6 times a year, he said.
6 times a year, horseplayerdaily.com. Check out our website. And Matt, if it gets windy, don't forget your little housewarming gift.
Thank you for the hair products. Blinkers Off. I'll do it next time. December 9th.